Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Well, if the United States resumes nuclear testing, Russia will respond in kind, warned President Putin, setting waves of concern across the world. Now, with President Trump calling for a return to American nuclear tests and decades of restraint under the test ban treaty at risk, we look at the scientific, political, and security implications with Professor Wacław Gudowski. Good to have you on TVP World. Welcome.
Good morning.
I want to ask you directly about these political statements that we're hearing right now. Trump has said also they test, so we're going to test. Putin also making it. Is this, in your mind, political saber rattling, or do you really see now a return to nuclear testing by major countries in the world?
Well, I think that there are two very important aspects. One is a technological aspect. Namely, we were used that nuclear explosion tested in the past. There were the first stage, which was a conventional, what we call the fission nuclear bomb, which actually ignite the fusion nuclear bomb. So it was, in general, tests well above 1 kiloton, let's say 1/20 or 1/10 of the Hiroshima bomb. But the technology went forward, and now we have, for example, inertial confinement fusion, when we can ignite the thermonuclear explosion without the classical nuclear weapon. So we can do that on much smaller scale. We can actually scale them from the very, very tiny explosions up to the pretty huge explosions, counted maybe in the number of the Hiroshima bombs. So that's a technology. And, the old agreement, which was done, it was based rather on this old technology that one was doing the underground tests because the tests in the air were forbidden by the convention from 1962, if I remember well. So this is a new technology which opens new possibilities, but there is also a political aspect. Don't forget that non-proliferation treaty actually agreed and signed in 1917 for 25 years, then prolonged indefinitely in 1995. It was also followed by the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1996, when the countries actually promised not to test any more new nuclear weapon. This treaty was never signed, but it was well observed, and the spirit of this treaty was actually respected by most of the countries, except for North Korea, maybe Pakistan. But the big powers really respected that. So this new approach is actually the disappearing of the spirit of this comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty. So the treaty, which was never really signed, but it was respected, now is put on the stake that we will. So the technology which opens new options for the testing on much smaller scale. And based on this comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty, there was built a system of the monitoring stations, about 200 stations, seismological stations, just, listening to the seismology. That was a sonar station, in many places when they were listening to the oceans, if we will have the big bump. They were radioactive monitoring station, looking for the noble gases which are emitted from the first stage. But now the technology moved us forward. We don't need really the first stage for the classical nuclear explosion, and we can still test the smaller thermonuclear charges. So I think it is both political aspect, disappearing, spirit of observing this comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty, but also technology opening for the tests which are very, very difficult to discover and to monitor. Mm-hmm. So we are in a way at the entering a new era, which I am afraid can end on new race for the nuclear weapon.
Right. And thank you for that point. I mean, you covered a lot of things I wanted to ask. Now, you did say that technology has progressed to a certain level where these explosions can be smaller, contained. Also, just for our audience to know, I mean, a lot of that testing, as you mentioned, the United States and Russia, or Soviet Union rather, at that point, the early 90s really was the last time there were major tests. I'm curious about, you said that the actual treaty itself, the CTBT, was not fully ratified, but it was followed to a large extent. You're saying there's technology that can,
yes.
Observed, but at the same time, we have no guarantee now. So let's say if testing resumes of some nature, my first question is, how fast can that happen? How quickly can the infrastructure be put in place? Is it there? Is this a matter of weeks? Is it a matter of months? And secondly, really quickly as well, just because the technology is there, does that not maybe mean that they will still go for larger tests anyway, because there's no, let's say, guardrails anymore?
You know, they are already few facilities which were questioned by the both political and technical experts, which were actually doing things on the edge of this comprehensive ban treaty. Namely, this is a new national ignition facility in the United States. This is a megajoule facility in France. This is the Iskra 5 in Russia, when they were doing, you know, these thermonuclear explosions without the classical first stage of the. So I think the technology is there, and nobody, most probably, as I said, nobody will go underground, you know, to make huge tests anymore. These smaller, sometimes called even under critical explosions, they are needed for the engineers to rectify, you know, the small details, to improve the simulation tools. You know, most of the weapon can be well calculated now, you know, in the computers. They don't really need, don't forget, you know, now in the world we have about 12.5 thousand nuclear charges, which most probably are operational. Tested, you know, in 60s, 70s, and as you said, the last underground test was in 90s. So I don't really think, you know, that the military need the tests. It's rather political posture to say, you can do that, we can do that. Mm-hmm. But do we really need that? I don't think so. You know, most of the things, what they need are very small experiments to improve the simulation tools.
Right, but at the same time,
I wouldn't be afraid that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask quickly as well, because at the same time, it can begin a new nuclear race. Now, if the United States and Russia tests, let's say irrespective of each other, that tends to happen now. What does the chain reaction look like of other powers? There's other nuclear powers. Will China follow suit? Will India? Will Pakistan? Will they follow suit now?
Definitely. This is a danger. This is the biggest danger. It's not the resuming, you know, the test, but this disappearing spirit of this comprehensive ban treaty. I consider that the political will is much more dangerous for the future development than this level of technology. So China will definitely, China tests already, you know, more sophisticated weapons. I think India, Pakistan, and well, Israel, they are more sophisticated. But India, Pakistan, and North Korea, they still use this older technology. You know, when the first stage of the classical nuclear bomb and then the thermonuclear bomb. But I am very much afraid that the new race will start if the world will not keep calm in that. So I think the smaller countries like Sweden, for example, put a lot of efforts to, they even were co-founders of this comprehensive non-nuclear test ban treaty organization, which were efficiently monitoring things. And another danger which I can see is less and less important role of United Nations. That's the very important issue, because for many years, United Nations was a forum when smaller countries could actually put their cases. Now it is only, I would say, the platform for the beautiful speeches and rhetorics.
Well,
but
unfortunately,
really,
it's
no
a platform that we hopefully will get more of, as you said, to have restraint win the day, because it is quite a frightening concept having the world return to nuclear testing. We'll have to stop it there, unfortunately. Thank you so much. That was our guest here today, Professor Wacław Gudowski. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here. There's much more coming up on TVP World.